Let me have a crack at reading your mind for a second. You reckon the reason you are not sorted financially yet is that you just do not earn enough? That if you landed a pay rise or a better gig, it would all fall into place? Sound about right? Here is the thing though, that is the wrong answer. And it is the exact reason so many people on cracking salaries are still living pay to pay. The real game is not your income. It is one number, $100,000, your first 100 grand. Get why that number is so weirdly hard to hit and what happens the moment you crack it and everything changes. So let us get stuck in. Start with the hard truth, because I am not going to sugarcoat it for you. That first 100 grand is a grind. Here is the maths, and it is a bit rude. If you just save, no investing at all, $100 a month takes you about 80 years to get there. 80. 250 a month over 30 years. 500 a month, about 17 years. Even $1,000 a month is 8 years of solid, boring saving. So this is not a quick flex. It is years of quietly saying no while your mates upgrade the ute and flood your feed with Bali photos. No wonder most people never actually do it. Not because they cannot, because it is slow and thankless at the start and they tap out. But here is the bit almost nobody tells you, and it is the whole reason to bother. That first 100 grand is the heaviest one you will ever lift. After it, the boulder gets lighter. I know that sounds backwards. 0 to 100 grand is 100 grand. 100 grand to a million is another 900,000 on top. So how on earth is the second bit easier? One word, compounding. Let me show you. A decent return on a small pile is peanuts, but that same return on 100 grand is thousands of dollars a year, landing on top without you lifting a finger. Next year you earn a return on the bigger number too, and on it goes. The snowball starts shoving itself down the hill. Picture it with rough numbers for a sec. Say your 100 grand earns around 8% in a year. That is 8 grand it made for you, more than a lot of people managed to save in a whole year, and you did nothing but leave it sitting there. The year after you are earning that return on 108 grand, so it is more again. And bigger again the year after that. That is the snowball, and it just keeps speeding up. And here is a genuinely wild one to prove the point. Get to 100 grand, then never add another cent, and at a reasonable long-run return, that pot can roughly double over the next decade, entirely on its own. Ask yourself this. Is your pay doubling in 10 years for doing nothing? Not a chance, but your money can. That is the whole difference between working for money and having money work for you. And 100 grand is roughly the point where you actually feel it kick in. That is the prize. Now let us talk about how you get there. For most Aussies, there are two engines, and you want both of them running. Engine one is the accessible one, the pot you can actually get at. It is a simple, low-cost ETF bought through any share app in your own name. You can watch it, add to it whenever, and top it up on autopilot. Hold your investments longer than 12 months, and you generally cop a 50% discount on the capital gains tax when you sell. And plenty of Aussie shares come with franking credits, which just means some of the tax has already been sorted for you. This is your before 60 money. And to be clear, you are not picking individual companies here. You want a broad index ETF, the kind that owns hundreds or even thousands of companies at once. So if any single one goes belly up, you barely feel it. Engine 2 is your super, and it is already humming along in the background thanks to your boss. Here is the move most people sleep on. You can salary sacrifice a bit extra in. That money goes in before tax and gets taxed at just 15% instead of your normal rate, which for a lot of people is double that or more. That gap is straight up free money for future you. And if you are on a lower or middle income, chip in a bit after tax and the government might top it up with a co-contribution. Also free money. The only catch, super is locked away until you're around 60. But honestly, that lock is a feature, not a bug, because the single hardest part of investing is leaving the thing alone, and super forces your hand. Setting it up is dead easy too. You just tell your payroll to send a bit of each pay straight into your super before it even lands in your account, so you never see it and you never miss it. Now, before you rush off, let me guess the objection, because this is Australia and someone is always about to yell it at the screen. But Cooper, what about property? Fair enough. Property has made plenty of Aussies wealthy. But here is the catch. To get into property, you need a deposit, and a deposit is, funnily enough, a big pile of cash you have to save first. So even if bricks and mortar is your dream, the game still starts the same way, by building your first serious chunk of money. Your first 100 grand in ETFs is not competing with property. For a lot of people, it is how you fund the deposit in the first place. So this is step one either way. And shares have a couple of things going for them that a house does not. You can start with $50 instead of a 50 grand deposit, and if you ever need some of it back, you can sell a slice rather than having to flog the whole place. Right now, a warning, because this is exactly where it falls apart for most people. Somewhere in the first few years, you are going to hit a wall. You have been tipping money in for ages, and the balance has barely budged. Maybe the market has dipped and you are staring at red numbers. And your brain starts whispering, mate, this is pointless. You may as well just spend it. I call that the dead zone. And it is a trap, because it always shows up right before the good part. The people who make it through are not smarter than you or richer than you. They just kept going through the boring stretch while everyone else bailed. So if you are in the dead zone right now, do not read it as a sign to quit. Read it as the sign you are nearly through. And here is the part I really want to land, because it takes us right back to the start. You do not need to earn more to begin. You need to start, and you need to be consistent. The secret ingredient here is not a big salary, it is time. And the only way to get more time in the market is to start now, not next year, not when you feel ready. The daily coffee, the 4 streaming subs you forgot you were paying for, a couple of Uber Eats a week. Redirect a slice of that into an ETF every month and leave it be. $500 a month at a long-run average return can quietly turn into several hundred grand over the years. And you do not need to be some genius stock picker either. Over the long haul, plain cheap index funds beat the large majority of the expensive pros anyway. These days, a single ETF can hold thousands of companies from all over the world in one hit. So it is about as complicated as ordering a flat white. Buy the market, keep buying, leave it alone. One more thing, and it is more in your head than your bank account. Once you have got a base built, your spending quietly changes. That impulse buy suddenly looks like ETF units you are choosing not to own. You shift from being a spender to being an owner, and that change in how you see money is worth just as much as the money itself. So let us wrap it up. Your income is not the thing holding you back, so stop waiting for a pay rise to save you. The first 100 grand is the wall, and it is meant to be hard. That is the whole point of it. Set up an automatic ETF and basically forget about it. Let your super build, and salary sacrifice a touch extra for the tax break if you can swing it. Push through the dead zone when your balance is going nowhere, and trust that once you crack 100 grand, compounding quietly takes over the heavy lifting. The rules and caps do change, so check the current numbers before you dive in. And look, if you are sitting on basically nothing right now and this all feels a mile away, hear me on this one. Every single person who got there started exactly where you are today. So give this a like if it gave you a kick up the backside, subscribe if you want the next step, and go set up one automatic investment this week, even if it is just $25 to start the habit. Future you will be stoked. Catch you next time.